What up？ 大家好，我是唢呐，蛋堡得到金曲奖。And on this episode, I'm gonna show you 3 reasons why Homeboy very well deserved that award and why this is a big win not only for him, but for the Taiwan Shiha community. Number 1, the MPC. Now, Tanbao's album, 家常音乐 has over 20 tracks. And this is somewhat rare considering nowadays most rappers don't even put out albums. They put out singles. And those that do put out albums maybe only do 9 to 12 tracks on an album at most. So this shows not only Tanbao's commitment to his music and to his art, but it also shows how prolific he is and be able to create so many songs in one piece. Now, I know what some of you out there are thinking, 没有什么特别难的，买一台 MacBook 啊，录几首啊，下载一个台币啊，就这样子20首，没有什么特别难的。No, motherfucker. After listening to this entire album, I am almost 100% sure that Tanbao used the most important instrument in hip-hop to make his album, and that is the Akai MPC. The Akai MPC is synonymous with hip-hop. It is responsible for some of the biggest hits. Da, 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 da. It's the one and only Digo Double G. Snoop Dogg. Stop, drop, shut them down, open up shop. Rap up my name, you're bound to fry. Know how many niggas that I know that's down to die. We never fail. Some of the biggest producers in the world. All use and swear by the Akai MPC when making their productions. Now the Akai MPC features 16 pads in which you can sample drums, vocals, and all sorts of different sounds and map them out and then play them with your fingers. This is very different than the way most people make music now, which is using a computer and using what's known as a DAW or a digital audio workstation. Now, don't get it twisted. There is nothing wrong with using computers to make music. Shit, I use a computer to make my music. But the difference between using a computer and using an MPC is glaringly obvious. With a computer, you have everything which is in the box, meaning everything you need is right there inside of your digital audio workstation. And anything you don't have, you can download at the click of a mouse. But with an MPC, all you have is that kit, that piece of gear. It stands on its own. And if you want to make music, all you have are 16 pads, your brain, and your love for music. Now, as I said in a previous episode, a good producer has already listened to thousands of hours of different types of music so that they can have different experiences and different ideas to be inspired from. Using the MPC, Tanbao has taken his love and deep knowledge of not only hip-hop, but jazz, soul, and funk, and use that to create very colorful pieces in this album that make listening to it feel like you're going on this long, very interesting, and colorful journey. Now, what makes the MPC so special? The MPC has something that is very unique known as swing. Swing is the amount of time or space in between the kick and the snare. So if you're using a computer or you listen to most songs made by the computer, you can hear what's known as quantize, which is making sure all the beats are exactly on and where they need to be. Now, you can move these around and adjust using your computer and your digital audio workstation. But with the MPC, what it does is it extends the time or the gap in between the kick and the snare, which makes things sound funky. It makes it sound raw. Computers have tried to emulate and even copy the MPC swing, and they've gotten close. But the MPC is very special in that it is its own unique computer and audio workstation. So when you turn that shit on and you make music and you turn it off, when you turn it back on again, it is slightly different. And the way it processes music is slightly different as well. So each time you use it, you get something very unique and raw. And this is something that a computer cannot emulate. And what this swing does is anyone who listens to hip hop, any rapper who's rapping to a beat made on an MPC, you will watch and see how they bob their head. It's always a little bit of delay. This is created because they are following the swing. They are following the space in between the beats. And that's what allows a lot of the biggest tracks in the 90s hip hop to flow so uniquely, which is different from other songs. Now, a lot of songs of today are based off the trap or type beat style of music, which a lot of them go hard. They're very, very cool. But it's also very hard to differentiate one song from another. They all use pretty similar sounds.
I serve in the Honda, saving my money, my vision with Tony. In this game, sit back, be patient. Niggas act like the game went vacant. Niggas act like some been taken.
Well, the MPC,蛋堡has chosen to find and search for his own unique sound, and not only put them in the MPC, but play them by hand, putting not only his mind, but his body into his music. It shows in the songs that he's made. And one of the songs in the album where it's very clear is a song we actually reviewed before called 等待陀佛.
Yes.
You hear how the hats that they're not the same all the way through. And this is because he played them by hand, making every hat unique, as opposed to on a computer where you could just draw that shit in or throw in a loop and just repeat it over and over again. This is what happens when you play music by hand. It sounds organic. And this was kind of the whole idea of the MPC to begin with, because when hip hop came about, producers and rappers couldn't afford to hire real drummers and real bands. The MPC allowed them to take the sounds of their favorite drummers or their favorite songs, sample them and play them the way they wanted to. And this is what made hip hop hip hop. Now, like I said, I am 99.999% sure that this motherfucker used an MP3 copy. That homeboy used an MPC on this album. But I want to know what you guys think. I want to know from the other producers who are watching this episode, or if anyone can verify. Leave a comment down below. Let me know if I'm right or I'm wrong. Although I know I'm right, son. Number 2, the struggle. Now, I'm sure a lot of you guys know about蛋堡's personal struggles within his life and his own personal experience. But did you know the process of making the music itself has its own struggle? As I said before,蛋堡's tool of choice was the MPC. And with that comes a limit of 16 pads. So you have a limitation of how much you can actually put in, which forces you to choose carefully what sounds you want. Now, most people might think, oh, but 有那种的限制就没办法开放啊. That is one way to look at it, but I choose to look at it this way. With the limitation, it forces you to use your creativity. It forces you to use your ears and your mind. And this is what I think蛋堡did as well. He found a way to work within the limitations of the MPC, take his experiences and his struggles in life, and carefully select sounds that represent the things that have happened in his life and mold them and shape them together using that swing, using his hands and his ideas and playing that shit and doing it raw. And unlike using a computer, there is no autocorrect on the MPC. There is no undo. If you f up, guess what, motherfucker? You gotta do that shit all over again. You gotta do it until you get it right or until you get it the way you want it. And this is what makes it unique. Because like I said, every time you play and every time you turn that on, it's gonna be slightly different, which gives it a more raw, live, and organic feel. Now, of course, it would be easier to just use a computer. Just record that shit and maybe Apple Z or Control Z and just redo it over and over again. But a lot of times, the best moments, the most musical moments happen in the mistakes. The mistakes are what make music music. That's what gives it its authenticity. That's what makes it raw, son. No tao tao. Now, for me, the greatest example of this is in his song, Home Cooking. In the actual video, it actually has an animated version of this motherfucker playing on an MPC. Now, listen to the melody of this song. You notice how the melody doesn't play all the way through? It almost sounds like it stops part way. There's a reason for that. The MPC has something called decay. Decay in music production is how long a song continues to play after you hit it on the pad. So imagine if you hit it once and then it stops. You can control how long it keeps going after you hit it. And with this, he has obviously shortened the decay on the melody to make it fit in with the swing of the other instruments and the other samples that he's put on the other pads. And this is really fucking cool because this sample obviously comes from a full song, but I guarantee you that full song is something completely different than what he turned it into. He took an idea and he transformed it into something totally new and original. And this is the essence of hip hop. To take your remix it and make it my that is dope as fuck. Number 3, the full package.蛋堡is not only the producer, he's also the rapper. So this album is 一整套两颗蛋堡. Now, because蛋堡is the producer and the rapper, this allows him to create a full picture. Because when you're just the rapper and you 下着一个 type beat or you ask a producer to come in, you still have to somewhat take your idea and explain it and convey it to the producer, and hopefully they can come up with something that matches what's in your head and matches the lyrics. But with蛋堡, he is his own producer, so he's able to carefully select sounds that match and fit well with his voice, and using those sounds, create a picture and a road so that his voice is able to travel on that road and take you on a fucking magic carpet ride, son. And in this song, Input Sata, it's like LSD meets a mushroom trip, son. The video, the song itself is so dope. And listen to where his voice is. You see how his voice dances in between the music? Because him being the producer allows for every word that he says and the way he says it, which is known as cadence, to not only fit in with the swing of the music that he's made, not only to match the decay of the samples that he chooses, but also to create a full immersive soundscape picture. So when you hear his you are getting 100% 两个大颗蛋 the whole 蛋堡 immersive experience 一整套 motherfucker. So in this song, it's almost like his voice is navigating a maze that was created and drawn out by the music that he made himself. And it's a really cool and interesting experience, especially when you watch the 360 video, dude. Now, these 3 points are why I think蛋堡 100% deserved his flowers for the 金曲奖. Because not only is this a win for him, this is also a win for the underground lo-fi hip-hop movement in Taiwan. Because in a world where everything is trap and Migo copycat flows and 大屌哥,蛋堡 has shown that keeping it real, bringing the authenticity and the organic feeling of hip-hop still has meaning. So for all you rappers and producers out there who are trying to find a way to stay relevant, stay unique, and stay cool, just remember this. 美代套套真的是嘻哈. So keep it raw, keep it real, and remember to sign up for our 嘻哈英文的课程. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, do all that shit, and polish your蛋蛋. And we'll see you next time. Peace!